So our next speaker is Katie Pelch. Katie is a senior scientist with the Endocrine Disruption Exchange and a former postdoctoral fellow at the National Toxicology Program. Katie's interest in protecting human and environmental health led her to evaluate the evidence and write the harmful effects of endocrine disrupting chemicals. I got to see Katie speak at a recent plastics conference, and I found her presentation to be terrifying and depressing, and I thought perfect for lightning talks. So please welcome Katie.
We can all clearly see that the modern conveniences of our daily lives are bad news for the oceans. Far too often, the products that we use, perhaps only once, end up lining the stomachs of seabirds, strangling sea turtles, and even sea lions. But what about the effects that we can't see? That's what I'm speaking about tonight. How is it that our trip to the store to buy products that we use every day can be causing a secret and invisible harm that is hard to capture in photographs like the ones I just shared? It's because every single one of these products release chemicals into the environment during their production, while we're using them, and even after we've discarded and long forgotten about them. And far too often, these chemicals are endocrine disruptors, which means that they interfere with the body's normal hormonal signaling. The endocrine system is the body's chemical messenger system that lets the different cells and tissues talk to one another using hormones. It's key in the functioning of the brain, the cardiovascular system, even the immune system and metabolism. And it's absolutely critical for directing fetal growth and development, sexual maturation, and reproduction. And it's highly conserved across species. Now, I said that we were talking about invisible harm, so I'm not talking about missing limbs or anything like that here. Rather, what I'm speaking about is endocrine disrupting chemicals' ability to disrupt or to direct not only how organisms are formed, but also how they function. When I was preparing this talk, I was really shocked and saddened to learn that there have been no births of our southern resident killer whales since 2015. So that's 2 years. But then this paled in comparison to what I read about in a UK pod population that has seen no calves born in 25 years that the pod has been studied. Now, of course, this is a really complex problem, and a lot of it has to do with our ever-decreasing Chinook salmon population, which is the whale's major food source here. But we also know that they have a really high body burden of toxics, and that many of these chemicals absolutely are capable of impacting in, their fertility status. And for their part, the salmon are not immune to the effects of endocrine disruptors either. The recent State of the Sound report highlighted that 1 in 3 young salmon have levels of toxins that are high enough to impact their health. And a previous study found an alarmingly high rate of male to female sex reversal in Chinook salmon spawning in the Columbia River. Now, this study wasn't able to determine exactly what was causing the sex reversal, but we know that estrogenic chemicals that leach out of our consumer products and that we spray on our agricultural land absolutely can have these impacts on aquatic species. And as you might guess, the orca and the salmon are not alone. We're right there with them. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report that 12% of women have sought fertility service. And this is a rate that has doubled in just the last 10 years. And in July, this amazingly huge study came out that evaluated 185 previous studies, collected data for over 40 years, and found that sperm concentrations have declined by 52% in males. All told, when you add up the cost due to endocrine disrupting chemicals just on reproductive diseases and disorders, we're costing the US $45 billion annually. If you combine this with the impacts of other health diseases like diabetes and obesity, loss of IQ and ADHD, and cardiovascular mortality, this figure skyrockets to $340 billion annually. But there's good news. We can make a difference. Your small actions do add up to make a big impact. So you can use less, recycle more. You can also change the way you shop. EWG has some awesome consumer guides to help you buy everything from produce to furniture. And you can also support local initiatives like Strawless in Seattle that eliminated 2.3 million plastic straws in the city in just the month of September, and our work to remove the toxic PFAS chemicals from our drinking water, which I'd love to talk to you more about. And just know that together we can and we will move the marketplace towards healthier alternatives.